Today at the Georgia Museum of Agriculture is a Folklife Festival, and it's an annual festival that we have been having here for numerous years, and it's kind of kicks off the spring.
We're here at the Folklife Festival at the Georgia Museum of Agriculture, and right here in this area we're washing and dyeing wool. We have some sheep here at the museum. They're Gulf Coast native sheep, and they were left here by the Spanish. When the Spanish left in the 1600s, the sheep became feral. They were wild and just roamed along the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida area near the coast and developed resistance to foot rot, to worms, to other diseases. They became very hardy.
Behind me right there is the firing of the Turpentine Still. We run that one time a year, and we're about to pour it off. And it's, as you can see from the crowd, it's a highlight of the day. And it kind of caps off the Folklife Festival. Now, it's not the only activity that we have going on here, but it is one of many. Out here is the flower show, which is up in the museum. There's also a quilt show, American Legacy Quilt Show, which has drawn a very large crowd over the past 2 days. The flower show as well. They had a judging last night, and their designs are in the museum atrium for everyone to view that's visiting the museum today. We also have pony rides from Rockin' M Ranch down in Florida. They're with us, and that's been extremely popular as well. You can hear in the background there, perhaps, the train, the steam train, the Vulcan steam train. It is probably one of the premier attractions at the museum. We run it every Saturday, and today it has been full. The crowd was a little bit slow to get going because it was a little cold out this morning, but once it warmed up, the crowd came out, and there are quite a few people enjoying the museum and historic village. Today we also had sheep shearing down at the farm, and the Langdale Nature Center was open, and as always, the grist mill was running too.
Now one day the farmer came to the grist mill, he didn't have no money. So how would they get the mill to grind the farmer's corn? Well, they would get 1/8 of the corn, which is called bartering. They would get that, and then they would make 1/8 of the corn, which is called a miller's toll, which is 1/8 of your corn. So that meant that the guy down at the sawmill, he used to work 4 cents an hour. So that meant that the sawyer, he had to come by the grist mill and buy some meal and grits, and that way he would have his money. See, the miller, he didn't grind meal and grits every single day of the week. He was just a notary public, justice peace, even a mailman. So that meant that the difference of meal and grits, well, grits is coarse and meal is fine.
So there's a lot of interactive activities for the family. I saw a little girl that was about 2 feet high plowing behind the mule this morning, and her little pink dress, and she was having a great time. That's the kind of activities that we have here at the museum, and that we're trying to move towards as well, to have more. And the Turpentine Still is one of those, and it's manned by volunteers.
This still is a model of the 1890s, early 1900s models, where they would go and they would actually scrape the trees and have a cup and gather the gum, and that's a real time-consuming process. And over the years, people quit doing it, so we at the Agorama had to come up with a process to gather the gum, and somebody came up with a process of taking a 1-inch PVC pipe, drilling a hole in the tree, spray it with acid, and then drive that pipe into the tree and gather the gum. And now the gum is real pure. And we got, on my farm, we got about a little over 1,000 taps and got about 4 barrels. Now this still is a 9-barrel still, but because of the time it takes to cook it off and the availability of the gum, we only cook 4 barrels at a time. And of course, that's another reason that we only fire the still up once a year, because of the availability of the gum.
Without the volunteers, we wouldn't be able to have festivals like this at the museum. We probably have about 50 volunteers out today, and they are the lifeblood of the museum and make it operate like it does, and we appreciate every one of them.